In today's video, we will discuss an important part of Counter-Strike Global Offensive's history, which is the Overwatch system. We will cover how it was introduced, the problems that led to its shutdown, and its current implementation in CS2. Let's get right into it. Almost immediately after the game's release, the developers of Counter-Strike faced the growing issue of cheating and toxic behavior. They realized that the existing anti-cheat wasn't always effective against new cheats and griefers. So, Valve began exploring alternative approaches to address this problem. In May 2013, Valve introduced a new system known as Overwatch, which allowed regular players to help punish cheaters and griefers. The concept of Overwatch in Counter-Strike was simple and ingenious. Let players themselves investigate suspicious cases and deliver verdicts. Every community member became a sort of law enforcer with the power to punish offenders. This allowed not only the anti-cheat system, but also the players themselves to actively participate in creating a fair gaming environment. It was an effective way to identify violators and strengthen the sense of community and responsibility. It also significantly limited the possibilities for cheaters. The concept of Overwatch remained straightforward and, most importantly, highly effective. When a player noticed suspicious behavior in a competitive match, they could report the player for cheating or inappropriate behavior. When the number of reports reached a certain threshold, the match demo was automatically sent for review. Then players with access to Overwatch would receive a notification about a new case in the main menu. The review process was quite engaging. They had to watch 8 rounds of an anonymous demo and deliver a verdict ranging from insufficient evidence to evident beyond a reasonable doubt for each category. Valve carefully designed the system, understanding the human factor. Therefore, each punishment required an overwhelming majority of identical decisions for each case. Additionally, access to Overwatch was granted only to players with more than 150 matchmaking wins and a rank of at least Gold Nova 1. There were 2 types of punishments, a complete game ban and a grief ban for around 30 to 40 days. The grief ban was extremely rare and usually only given to honest players. Also, users reviewing Overwatch cases could earn rewards. If their decision matched the decision of other players, they would receive an amount of XP equivalent to that earned for a match win. The first problem for Overwatch was that cheaters quickly figured out the conditions needed to get their case reviewed by Overwatch. They needed to receive 11 or more reports within 24 hours, and it became known that the match with the most reported suspect would be sent to Overwatch. This knowledge significantly changed the rules of the game. In 2015 to 2016, encountering players with high ranks meant dealing with either true professionals or a group of cheaters. Each would play 1 or 2 games in a row, then pass the role to the next. Thus, a group of 5 cheaters could win up to 10 games in an evening without risking any of their accounts being banned. The cheater community showed its ingenuity here. Overwatch was created to fight cheaters, but some managed to turn it to their advantage and even started making good money from it. As you remember, getting into Overwatch required 11 reports. However, it was later discovered that the system didn't check if the user who reported and the suspect were in the same game. This allowed cheaters to force players into Overwatch using the so-called rule of 2 games, provided they had a base of about 10 accounts to report any player into Overwatch. Since most players didn't have many accounts, various paid services became popular. These services had large account bases and could send any player to Overwatch for a certain fee. These services, besides reports, could boost your game hours or commands. However, over time, Valve fixed this issue by adding a check to see if you were in the same game as the suspect, ultimately eliminating report bots and command boosts. Not all cheaters preferred rage hacking. Some, with accounts having many hours of playtime and skins, didn't want to lose their accounts for nothing. Nevertheless, they still wanted to cheat without being convicted by Overwatch. Seeing this new trend, cheat developers began focusing on legit cheats to make aimbots look as human-like as possible, avoiding suspicion in Overwatch. However, the most popular and loved way to bypass Overwatch became server crashing. We've covered this in a separate video before. By crashing the server at the end of a match, not only could you corrupt the demo file, but you could also make the win count. A corrupted demo file couldn't be sent to Overwatch. But kudos to the game developers for having always prioritized fixing server crashes and punishing those who use them. Cheat features not only allowed bypassing Overwatch, but also helped during its review. The Overwatch Revealer feature let you watch the demo as if it was a usual demo, where you could see nicknames, avatars, and Steam profiles of players. This significantly simplified analyzing Overwatch's demos and provided insights into other aspects previously unknown. For instance, it was discovered that the system didn't always provide an up-to-date demo, sometimes offering a game of an already banned player or even a match of a known professional player. This was done to check the quality of the Overwatch's reviewers' work, but thankfully the final decision was made collectively. A correct verdict increased the trust factor within Overwatch, allowing some players to see the suspect's account getting banned immediately after their verdict. Such players couldn't ban an innocent player, but their verdicts were valued more and often rendered decisive. It also became clear that the requirements for reviewing cases were too high. Besides having a Prime account, you also needed at least 150 wins and a rank no lower than Gold Noah 1. This led to an interesting situation because CSGO became free to play. Overwatch also received cases from non-Prime games, where the number of cheaters was significantly higher. This increased the workload on Overwatch. In this situation, it made sense to grant access to a broader group of people. In a speech, John McDonald noted that their system identified certain features, such as anti-aim, before sending the demo to Overwatch. Such cases from non-Prime games could be trusted to a broader audience. In these demos, the only question was, is the suspect spinning or not? This would have reduced the workload on Overwatch and left more complex cases for more experienced reviewers. But the last news for Overwatch was the revoking bans from accounts convicted by Overwatch in the past 2 months. What could be worse? Shortly after unbanning, Valve decided to completely disable convictions in Overwatch. This led to a comical result. Overwatch cases could be viewed, but no bans were issued. Updating and improving Overwatch was necessary, but stagnation worsened problems, leading developers to decide to shut down Overwatch. At the launch of CS2, Overwatch was no longer mentioned in the game. Everything indicated that the developers decided to drop Overwatch with CS2's release. Reviewing demos started to normalize shortly before the famous changelog. Even after the announcement, it's known that Overwatch couldn't function because it wasn't connected to anything, and the labels and buttons were mere placeholders. Additionally, there was only one verdict, which is aimbot. The cherry on top was the check to see if the local player is viewing an Overwatch demo that was added after Overwatch was added. Also, as further proof, Overwatch bans were issued to players whose last game was before Overwatch was officially added. Why did Valve do this? Well, it's their favorite tactic, one they've used repeatedly to confuse cheaters. Today, it's hard to predict Overwatch's future, as developers might choose various implementation options, including the old concept or new ideas discussed in our previous videos. Regardless, we'll keep a close eye on the news. We'll be waiting for your comments below this video. You might point out some important points we missed. Feel free to also share topics you would like to learn about in future videos. Throughout this video, we've hidden several Easter eggs containing subscription activation codes, and we're starting a giveaway for all commenters. The rules are simple: like the video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a meaningful comment with your Neverlose username at the end of it. Thank you for watching. This has been the Neverlose team. Stay tuned for more insights in our upcoming videos.